Thank you for joining us on this episode of Conversations at Night. I am your host, Irene Sidede, and on tonight's episode, we have a phenomenal guest. She's a wife, mother of 5, real estate investor, financial advisor, and she is also a lead manager at a manufacturing plant. So stay tuned to see what she has to say because I do believe that you're going to love this episode. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Conversations at Night. Tonight we have Pamela Ray. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to have you on the show.
Thank you for the invitation.
No problem. So today we're going to talk about finances.
Yes.
Money.
Money.
So I guess we can start off with savings accounts. How do you start? How do you open one? How do you start saving money? Just where do we get started?
The basics. Well, remember how we were as kids to where we started off with the piggy bank. And then we were able to put whatever change we had in the piggy bank and saved up for whatever toy or whatever outfit we wanted. That's where we started our very first savings. And as we got older, we forgot that even that simple piggy bank can still be a savings in saving your change or $1 a day, anything like that, to be able to save up for X and whatever X is. So it's no longer considered emergency funds. We want to make sure it's considered an opportunity fund because we want blessings and we want opportunities to come to us and be presented to us. So the best way is to start off small. You can start off with change. You can start off $1 a day. It's whatever is comfortable enough for you that you will not affect your family's food, living arrangements. Now, not saying that you are going to save just a little bit of money a day, but you're going to make sure that you have all the extravagance that you would like. The goal is to be able to sacrifice a little so you can gain much later on in life.
And what would you say is a good age for people to start saving?
Oh, anytime. My first savings account was a piggy bank. But then when I got in 8th grade, my family friend opened up a savings account for me and gave me money to put in my savings account. So, and this is back in the day when they gave you a little savings book that you would have to hand to them and they would write down exactly what you had in the account. But I felt like an adult because I said, this was my money. I have an account. It's underneath my name. So it was like that's celebrating a win. Like I'm doing big things. I only had like $30 in there, but in my mind, I was still doing big things.
Right.
So any age, grandparents are infamous of giving their grandchildren money, which is great because they have the means to be able to do it. Why not open up that account for them? To be able to say, this is your money to be able to save for something later on. And then now you have to teach the child or the grandchild, okay, just because you want something right now doesn't necessarily mean you have to have it right at that moment. And there's even ways to where you can gift stock, to where they have gift cards now that you are purchasing a share of stock. And that could be a donation too, not a donation, but a gift for that individual. And they're officially an investor. I mean, what better way to even say congratulations, happy birthday, you're graduating, especially we just finished graduations, than by saying, here's your first investment.
Okay. And how would you suggest for kids to learn how to understand finances or understand how to handle money and so forth?
Schools have done a disservice because it is not a requirement of graduation to understand money. Unless you're really bad at algebra, geometry, trig, calculus, then they'll say, okay, here's your finance class that you'll need to make sure that you learn what you need to learn and be able to handle your own business as you become an adult.
Right.
So it's either parents are going to teach, which we teach more with actions than with words, because we could tell our child to make sure they pay their bills on time. But if our child is seeing the electricity go off, we're showing them that we're not even following the same example that we're telling them. So it's a matter of introducing them to other people that you see that are successful. May not be that millionaire, but if they're at a better spot than you are, then tell them or ask them to teach your child, your niece, your nephew, whomever it is, a lesson of what they should learn to be able to be a productive citizen later on.
And you did say that the school system is doing a disservice to kids.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's not a requirement.
Okay.
It's not a requirement of graduation. Yes, you are required to have a certain amount of math. You are required to have a certain amount of electives. Yes, but only a certain amount of kids can be in each class. So if you have that accounting class or if you have that finance class, that is the elective, only a certain amount is going to be in. So then the rest of the folks that may be in higher math are receiving that information, but no longer receiving the information how to balance a checkbook, how to figure out credit card interest, how to handle a car payment. All of that is missed.
So that sounds like it's related to budgeting.
Yes.
So now let's dive into budgeting. What do people need to know when it comes to budgeting? How do they start? Because I know a lot of people don't even know what ways to start. They just spenders, so it's just like I'm just gonna spend what I get, and the next paycheck is gonna come.
That's right.
I'm gonna spend that too.
That's right. and just continues to repeat itself. That's right. So the first thing you do for the first in between pay period, so the first period to the next pay period, spend. Okay. Spend as you would normally spend. Don't change anything what you do. The only thing you do now is monitor it. So if you spent $5 on a coffee, fine, just write it down, coffee, however much. Then after that, now let's analyze it. What are you really spending on? Are you spending on things that you need? Are you spending on things that you want? So now, and then how much of it is just dining out? How much of it is actually food for the house? How much is it going to your bills? So now you're narrowing it down to what section of your pie is, of what your budgeting pie is. Then from that, you can say, okay, now I need a budget. I need to set aside this amount of money for electricity, this amount of money for water, this amount of money for food. And then after that, you monitor yourself every week. And the reason I say every week is you are your own corporation. Okay. So we all are a CEO of ourselves. So as a CEO of yourself, we all have shareholders, and our shareholders could be our family. It could be our children, it could be our friends, but they have invested in us, whether it is love, whether it is money, but they have an investment in us to succeed. So every quarter, if you've ever watched, a Wall Street show, every quarter, every company has to say how their quarter was. And then the shareholders will decide if they're going to continue to invest in that company or not. So every quarter, that's 4 times a year. There's 4 weeks in a month. So every week, you're going to treat that as if your company, yourself, is having its quarterly announcement. And then see, what did I do this week? How did I do? Did I overspend on one thing and not enough on the other? Because many times we will spend to feel good. Right. So is that really that item that you purchased? Is it really good for you? Did it just feel good at the moment? Is there a cheaper feel good that we can go through? Like my feel good used to be coffee. I would go to the coffee house. Oh, if I was having a Starbucks, I would stop, that book, they have the book out in that latte factor. I was like, wait, we can't stop the lattes. I budgeted Starbucks into my budget. So no, we're not stopping the lattes, but I had to slow it down. If I was feeling bad, drink. If it was payday, drink. It was to the point where I got gold status at Starbucks. Now, you have to go enough times to get gold status at Starbucks. But that was how many times I was going because it felt good. And then I realized, oh, we need a cheaper, because I don't need to spend $40 a month on coffee. And I have a coffee maker at home with coffee grounds, with sugar and creamer that I need. I have everything at home, but it just felt good. It felt good going there. So that was one of those things where I realized after spending that this one thing we need to slow down because that can help me out on other things as well. So again, between pay periods, the day you get paid until the next time you get paid, monitor it. Write down everything, spend the same way, don't stop. When you now looked at what you spent, now it's going to hurt your feelings. So be prepared to get a realization shock because in your mind, you're telling yourself that you don't spend that much. But when you see that statement, you're realizing it's a totally different ball game of what you're spending. So now don't do anything, don't spend to feel better about spending badly. It's just now a pity party moment. It's okay. Have black balloons, play Sade in the background, whatever you need. Go ahead and go through that. Cry it out if you have to. Have the pity party. And it's okay because after that pity party is over, you now know your own personal game plan to be able to spend better and budget wisely.
Why do you think people struggle so much with saving and budgeting? Do you think it's because of the emotional connection?
Yes. Don't you feel good when you have a cute outfit on? But we'll also spend that money for a cute outfit for an event, even though we already had clothes in the closet that still would have went with the event. But it feels good. It feels good to know that I can spend it. Even when you have a savings, you have to watch yourself. Even with the savings, because in your mind, I had my savings in a totally different bank because I didn't want to look at it. Because I knew once I looked at it and found out what my balance is, my mind will start racing of everything I can spend that money on. Some people block it they have a savings and checking in their same bank and they just block seeing it. And it works, right?
It does.
But once you see it, you're ready. Your mind starts wondering of, oh, I could buy this, I could buy that. And mind you, the day before, you didn't think about those items. It was just because you saw that you saved. So what is the goal? So when you're saving, it's not the point of, oh, I saved. No, what is the purpose of it? What is the goal? Is the goal to have an investment? Is the goal to make sure it's a part of a college fund for your child? What is the assignment for that money?
And you are a real estate investor.
I am.
So how's your journey been with real estate?
Nerve-wracking. So when I decided to do this, my husband agreed with me that we can do this. I'm like, okay, as long as we're in agreement, I'm fine.
Right.
And the first year I did absolutely nothing because I said, I'm going to do this. Yes. And then every self-doubt, every negative thought just came through. Who said you can do this? Why would you think you can do this? Who said you don't even have the money to do this? I mean, anything and everything came to my mind that was like, this is not gonna work. So literally, I took 1 year just to build myself up.
Okay.
So that was a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of books, a lot of prayer, a lot of just talking, not about real estate, just getting other folks' journey. I wanted to understand, how did you go from A to B? And just meeting other real estate investors and hearing their story. And in my mind, though, you can do this. Somehow you're privileged. Somehow you already had the money. I created stories in my mind, even though they may have told me they struggled. Your struggle couldn't have been that bad. Right. But that was what it was I was creating in my head. So for 1 year, it was, no, this is not going to work. Then the next year was like, no, this can. So now let me set up things. I set up my LLC. I set up my logo, my website. So it's like, okay, it's a small step. To someone else, it may seem like that's easy. But to me, it was like I'm going in the right direction.
What would be your advice for someone who wants to start investing in real estate?
Oh, so start off. Do you have to have money? No. Do you have to have grit? Yes. Because the first thing we think about is you have to have all of this money to make it happen. I've learned, no, you actually don't.
Okay.
So locally, we have a group named CFRI. And CFRI is an amazing organization because they have helped me through every step of my confusion all the way up to this point and will continue to teach me. And they have classes. I mean, the calendar is so full that I think there might be one day out of every week that there's not a class. So there's always ways to learn. Be willing to learn. Be willing to fall. Be willing to fall and be willing to fail. We are so afraid of the fall and fail that we will intertwine it as part of saying we are failures instead of just saying this didn't work. So even if it's real estate, if it's stocks, if it whatever the case may be of what you want to like to use your money for, be willing to fail. Pick yourself back up, learn that lesson, and keep moving forward. That's the biggest thing. With whatever direction you would like a person would like to go to.
Okay, and staying with the topic of investing, do you think cars are a good investment?
Cars are not a good investment. They're just good at driving.
Why do you think that?
Once you drive it off the lot, it's already depreciated. You can't even return it back the same amount of money that you purchased it for. And then when you're there, so many people like leases. And again, it's a feel good. It would feel good to have a new car every 2 years. And for those who do, for those who can do it, right on. I'm just not one of them. Just not one of them. Because you're restricted to a certain amount of mileage. And I like to drive. So if you're restricted to a certain amount of mileage, if you go over that, then you have to pay per mile. Then if you are in an accident, you can't return back the vehicle because now the car has been damaged. There's so many restrictions to that. Then the new cars are really nice and dealerships will work within your payment because they never ask you how much you want to spend on a vehicle. The first question they ask is, how much is your current payment? Because whatever car you decide, and if it's within range comparing to your credit score, they will match your payment. But for how long? Does that mean you have a 5-year payment, a 6-year payment, 7-year? I mean, they'll match it to whatever needs to be to have that payment. So then you're paying 7 years, example, for a vehicle that's already depreciated out in 5. Even by IRS rules, you have to depreciate a vehicle out in 5 years. And still have to make all the necessary repairs. I like new to me cars. They're used cars, but they're new to me. And I am okay with that because that means by the time it's new to me, I have saved enough money to go ahead and pay for the vehicle. And flat out, it's mine and I'm fine. But many people forget about gap insurance. So yes, you're supposed to have car insurance. That's a requirement in the state of Florida. But gap insurance is not a requirement. And gap insurance is if you are in a car accident and you have a payment and the car is totaled, that insurance covers all of the finances that you agreed to pay. Plus, they may give you about $1,000 to be able to find another vehicle. But if you were in that same scenario without gap insurance, you're still required to pay that loan, whether the vehicle is there or not. So we're forgetting about that part too. And then your older car may have sucked your mind, and you have the certain mileage and you have certain gas. Okay, so you have the newer car. Did you factor in your insurance being higher? Did you factor in that repairs may be higher? Did you factor in that the gas mileage may be different between what you had and what you're going to? These little things can be big things that either affect the way you save now or affect other things in your livelihood because that wasn't taken into account in the first place.
And I know that off camera you had mentioned that you were in that whole trap of being an NSF girl. Would you
Oh
be able to explain that a
yes.
little bit too?
So when what makes it so bad is I went to college. So I have some kind of degree. And I received my first job. I moved from Alabama to Indiana, and I was getting paid a really good amount of money. I was receiving my entry pay was my mother's leaving pay when she retired. So I was thinking, I'm doing things and was spending galore on everything. I took care of the household stuff, but if there was the event going on around, oh, I was going to be at the event and I was going to have a cute outfit on. There was no confusion who was going to see me. And then I was just spending and spending and spending, and then I was getting NSFs. And at first, the first time I was like, what is this? And then, I'm like, come on, Pam, I can figure this out. And non-sufficient funds. And every time I had a non-sufficient fund, the bank would charge me a non-sufficient fund fee. It was to the point where I owed the bank. And then children came. So then my spending was now, okay, let me narrow this down. But now my spending was daycare. My spending was formula. And I still didn't control my spending of going out. I was just like, I just have a mouth to feed, but that's no that's no problem. And my NSF spending was even higher. So it got to the point where there was one time the bank wiped out half of my paycheck because I was the NSF queen. And then it got to the point where I could monitor when the bank was going to charge me. So I would try to my best to make sure that I would cover it before they would even charge me. So then I thought I'd outsmart the bank and do payday loans. Did I stop my spending habit? No. I just said, okay, instead of paying you all this NSF fees, I would now pay a payday loan to cover what I overspent for you, and then I just have one fee with the payday loan. And then, so in my mind, that was smart, but it didn't stop my spending. So then, that's what I said, when the realization of, okay, I need to get down and get serious because I'm now multiplying more children and I now need more for them. So that's what I said with that pity party. When I realized what I was spending on, yes, Sade played for a good couple of hours because I couldn't believe I had set myself up for failure before it even started.
And I feel like a lot of people are in that cycle of just spending, being in debt, and spending more, being in more debt.
It's a vicious cycle. But if you are one of the few or one of the people that get a refund from your income tax return, why not use that money to get out of debt instead of using it on frivolous things? So it got to the point where I'm like, okay, that money was used to get myself out of debt.
All right. And did you have any tips or any advice for people when it comes to money, spending, investing?
Spending money makes you feel good. It gives you a rush to know that this is what you can do. But we also have to remember that money is specifically a tool to be used for a specific purpose, not to feel good. It's an assignment. So just like as kids, we had homework assignments. You are going to tell your money where it needs to go to. Your money is the soldier for your household. So if that soldier's job is supposed to pay a specific bill, then that's what it's supposed to do. That means removing that part of the emotional side out of it and treating it as if it's a soldier for your army to do your bidding. Now, money is not all to be used for bills. Some of the money you're supposed to keep for yourself, for your opportunity, for that dream, to fulfill the dream that was downloaded to you. That is that purpose for that. So, not saying that everything has to go out. There's some that you have to keep. It's almost like you have to keep it. Remember, back in the day, they used to keep in the mattress, or Big Mama had in her purse. But that money is for the opportunity that will come for you, for the dream that you're supposed to fulfill. But this year, my song for the year, every year I have a money song. And just my personal anthem just to keep me motivated. So y'all have to look at Bosty. Because there's a line on there that I think is powerful and I want to live by. And the line is, my money is so long it doesn't know me. That means it goes out to generations. That assignment is now will pass me, will pass my children and go to my grandchildren and great-grand. That's my goal. My money, I want my money to be so long it doesn't know me.
And do you know who is in the song for the people?
Oh, it's Bosty with Wiley, Idris, Elba, and I know there's a girl in there. I don't even know her name.
Idris,
I know that's right. I know, yeah. That is the true statement.
All right, thank you so much for joining us. And if you could tell everyone where they can find you.
You can find me on my website. It's raymays.com. You can also find me on Facebook under Ray Mays Properties, as well as Pamela Ray. And you can email me at raymaysproperties@outlook.com.
And there you have it, folks. Thank you for tuning in. I hope that now you can be able to handle your finances. I hope that now, you're not too scared to take risks when it comes to investments. You take the notes and start saving money, get out of credit card debt. If you liked this video, please make sure to share the video, like, comment, and subscribe, and keep the conversation going. I am your host, Irene Sidede, and thank you for joining us.